I'm a software engineer, and I just spent the whole day working from my laptop outside, one of the hottest days of the year so far. If you're sick of being stuck inside under fluorescent lights all day, watch this video. Throughout the day, I'm going to share how I got my first job in tech, tips on how to get your first job, as well as talk about the consequences of having an office job being locked indoors for 90% of our lives. This is another day in my life as a software engineer. Hope you enjoy. So far, there's only one thing I haven't really considered. I've got to pee. Family walk. It is noon and starting to get pretty hot. It's supposed to get the hottest at 2 p.m. So I'm going to take my devices up to the garage to charge and then cook lunch. I got the grill lighter. I didn't think this through super clear, having hot soup today for lunch, but that's what we got. Okay, so I got these hiking pots, some propane, tuna. Stuff's really cold in there from those ice packs. And, alright, so that's good for now. Since I'm gonna have an open flame, I'm gonna get this folded over. Also, bug spray, because mosquitoes are pretty bad right now. Actually, bugs haven't been super bad yet today. Flatten that. But they probably will. We've been getting some rains. There's no standing water, so that's good. So this is something me and my wife picked up, this kit. We did a multi-day hike. I think it was southern Indiana is where it was. Super light, like aluminum pots. This little cleaner thing. This isn't super clean, honestly, but we'll live. So we got a pot, and then you have this grill, which is super cool. What it does is you get your propane tank. You can buy this in the camping area, anywhere you shop. So this screws onto this propane tank here. This is super light, fits in a backpack. Then this turns left and right. this thing right here. And then there's an igniter. So I actually shouldn't need the lighter, but I've got it just in case. So forks and spoons. I packed a different fork and spoon. I'm not gonna dirty these up. So I'm gonna spread these out. Test that one more time. All right, there we go. Running. Flame went out for a second. You do not want that fuel just running around. Let's make sure this is down. Pretty crazy actually. There's some water in here. So I keep losing my flame. Let's get this in camera. So I'm gonna read the instructions. Make sure I'm not messing anything up. It's the lighter, just in case. Okay, maybe I had it on too high. All right, got my water on. I've also got this that I probably should have put this on. All right, primitive lunchtime as a software engineer. How cool is this? I'm gonna crush up my ramen. The neighbors probably think I'm crazy, but they don't live very close, so tuna looks good. This is in extra virgin olive oil with crushed red peppers. Sounds pretty good, honestly. Let's throw in the chicken seasoning. I'm just gonna bring this to a boil. Got some more tuna. Something I should have brought out here today is a trash can of some sort, trash bag. I do have one. Be there. Some more. All right, so let's show you guys what we're working with here. Got flame going. All right, guys, so we are getting close to bubbling. I'm gonna let that boil for maybe a minute, get the noodles nice and soft. And then, yeah, let you guys watch me eat. This handle's actually pretty hot. So guys, I'm not smart. This cloth I said was like cleaning. It's like a pot holder, because obviously this thing's hot. It was just boiling. So the big reason I wanted to do this is because I work in an office 3 days out of the week, and honestly not super motivated to get outside a lot. I'll try to find some stats and put them on the screen here, but from my research, 90% of people who are office workers in Indiana, which is where I'm from, spend about 90% of their lives indoors. Studies actually show that about 87% of time is spent in buildings. Additional 6% is spent inside enclosed vehicles, meaning the average person gets less than an hour of times outdoors daily. So I work a hybrid schedule. I work remote a few days a week. I work in office a few days a week. And I do believe being in the office is pretty important. You should be able to collaborate, be in the same room of your coworkers. Hot. A little spicy too. But also, humans weren't meant to be in a box under fluorescent lights all day. I think there's something to say about mental health issues and exposure to sunlight. So I try to on purpose get outside. This summer I have not done a very good job. I think I've just been kind of lazy. But if you work an office job, find a way to try to make an excuse to get outside. I'm doing this, I'm working outside today, totally fine. I'm getting work done. It's actually a very busy work day today. I've got a lot of work I gotta do. But man, if you're a software engineer, you're working in office every day, try to go work outside somehow, get some sunlight. It's just crazy hot today, but I think that we have softened ourselves as humans. I think there's nothing wrong with challenging yourself a little bit, seeing if you can do it. It's humid, it's not comfortable, but I think life is better the less comfortable you are in some circumstances. So if you're a software engineer especially, make sure you're getting outside. I'm not like a yard work person. My wife is. She loves doing yard work outside, and I just don't. I help her with things a little begrudgingly. I like helping her. I don't like doing outside stuff. I think it's just because I've been in an office and I've sat for my job for so long at this point, and I've had laborious jobs that I'm just anti-labor. And now, early 30s, I feel like I want to be more connected to outside nature, connected to my body. When you body hard, it feels different. And so that's a crazy stat. 90% of your time or your life is indoors, and there's so much out there. So all right, so I've got about 20 minutes left in my lunch break, so I'm gonna do some cleaning in the garage because obviously it's a mess. Side quest. That's raccoon dung. Battery got to 88%, so that's nice.
Model with card. I'm just gonna get signed off.
No.
If you have anything, I would like to get this in for QA till tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll put in some serious time this afternoon on it.
Thank you. That's great.
Yep.
All right. Got my mail. I heard Nancy yelling, so I'm gonna go take her for another walk. It's about 2:30. Finished up some of those tickets. Got it ready for code review. Nancy! There you are. I've already had more than half my water at this point. It's about 2:30. So I think I'm gonna dip in the electrolyte water, which is gonna be nice because it's been in the cooler. It's ice packs. This is one of Nancy's favorite hobbies. She's checking out this drain. It's hot. Hi, Nancy. Come on. We're gonna put Nancy in the AC. I'm gonna come down here, get some more work done. All right, guys. Well, as you can see, I'm pretty sweaty. Oh, it's a little past 3 now, and I'm getting my laptop booted back up after it died. I'm gonna finish up these tickets about an hour and a half. I'll go back inside. I have drank at this point this much water. I am this much sweaty, not crazy. I have to record on my laptop again because my phone is in the icebox. It's overheated from the little montage. Okay. Just finished up a code review. It is 4 p.m. That's the time I determined I was going to go inside. But before I go in, I want to talk about a couple things. Let me plug you in real quick. All right, so I thought I would go ahead and share the story about how I got my first tech job, because I know a lot of people trying to get into software engineering and IT, or maybe just trying to get out of the sun all day and get an office job. I thought maybe sharing my story would help inspire those who go home exhausted and dirty and sweaty like I am right now. Which is why I did this, because it's a good reminder and it's good to get outside. Like I said earlier in the video, a lot of people don't spend enough time outside. So I didn't go to college. I actually dropped out of college twice. I was not interested in furthering my education. I bounced around restaurants. I actually thought I would become a chef, work up the ranks from this halfway decent scratch kitchen to maybe working under a chef. I'm glad that didn't work out, because working as a chef is a single man's job. I wanted to have a family, get married, so that didn't work out. And I wanted to enjoy life. I wanted a job that I would consider part of my life, not so much work-life balance, but a work-life blend. And I wanted the opportunity to work a job where I could do something I cared about, thought would make a difference, while also living the life I wanted. And I remember my grandmother actually saying, if you learn computers, you'll always have a job. And I had that in the back of my brain. She probably said that early high school, when you're in high school, talking to all your family, and they're saying, what do you want to be when you grow up? I had some ideas, but I didn't know. But that stuck around. And so I heard that in the back of my head one day whenever I felt like a deadbeat. I was working at a restaurant that got sold. It was a nice restaurant. They sold, and the same owners of that restaurant also owned a group of short order kitchen restaurants. It's like a Waffle House, but imagine a much nicer. They owned a bunch of those locations of this business. They actually started it. And then they put all the chefs that worked in that restaurant, they either gave them cash and said, good luck in your tech career, or they said, we could get you a job at one of our locations. And I was excited. I just liked change. I was like, oh, cool. And I remember the first day learning that kitchen, after going from a kitchen that was complete, cooked from scratch, everything fresh, to now things still fresh-ish, but it's more about getting the food out fast. It was a fast food place, and I had a little bit of a breakdown in the back when the manager, who was a really nice guy, who got fired. Nice guys don't do well in the kitchen, but he was a really nice guy. He was showing me everything, and I was just taking it all in. This is my life now. He said, I'll give you a moment. I think maybe it was the feeling, not of betrayal. My job didn't owe me anything, but just the feeling of something that I could take pride in to now this, something I wasn't interested in at all. And so I didn't like that job, so I didn't last very long, as you could imagine. Me and my girlfriend, now wife, took a trip to Colorado to visit a friend. And when I came back from that trip, I was only scheduled one day a week. And I didn't really get a good answer about why that was, and so I just quit. And at this point, I had been teaching myself how to code for maybe 2 years. And I decided I'm going to take the plunge. I'm not responsible for anybody. I wasn't married. I had 2 roommates. My living expenses were extremely cheap. So I decided to just quit and go full bore on learning how to code every day. I worked tons of hours every day, just open source projects, trying to get freelance clients. I got a couple decent ones. They paid my rent for a couple months. That was decent to me. They were all just connections, people I knew that had a business, and I said, hey, can I build you a website? For instance, there was a family friend who, she was selling t-shirts. She created a brand and had a following, people interested in it, and she was printing t-shirts and just taking orders on Facebook. And this was before Facebook Marketplace. It was just Facebook groups. And so I said, hey, can I build you a site? I think I charged her $500 up front, and then a couple $100 a month to maintain it and change assets on the website. It wasn't a lot, but it was better than zero, and it made my little emergency fund last a little longer. Made the ramen noodles I was eating last a little longer. So I was doing random stuff like that. Another project I got was another friend's mom had a insurance company. I think it was like technically an insurance broker. I don't know how it works. But she wanted a full brand and website and all this stuff. I think we just did the brand, and another business partner came in, and that deal didn't go well. So we only got paid for a little bit of the work. And I say we because I had a designer, some other people that helped out. And so that was a little bit of money, but not a lot. But through this whole time, I'm learning how to code. I'm solving real problems. This e-commerce site was a production website that I was managing. I was starting to get some contacts with people. I had a real-life website that was on the internet that wasn't just dylanbain.com. And so I started making some contacts with people. This guy who had a recording studio who recorded when I was in a band knew a guy who needed somebody that needed to know how to code. And so I was helping him with WordPress sites and stuff. Nothing huge materialized from that. I did some Facebook ads for a political group, actually, where I was living. Whether or not they were on my side of the aisle, I didn't really care. I didn't want to do that, but I paid the bills and I got out as soon as I could. And so through all this, I'm making contacts. I probably could have materialized some of those contacts into a better situation, but that didn't happen. And then eventually I just applied for a job, and I didn't notice the job wasn't at a legit normal company, it was at a recruiter. So this recruiter was paid by a business to find them web developers. And so I applied to that. They called me, they explained what it was, and I was like, oh. And the guy laughed at me when I asked, do I pay you guys to get the job? And they're like, no, if somebody ever asks you to pay them to get a job, it's a scam. And so it's good to know, and I was desperate. I didn't know how this worked. And so how it worked was you interviewed with them. They were like, oh, does this guy have some experience that I could sell, pretty much. And the recruiter got me, I actually was with 2 recruiting firms. Both of the recruiting firms got me interviews. And the first interview went horribly, second interview went horribly. But the third one went a little better, and then the fourth one was the job I got. And I was a little more comfortable. I knew what to study. I remember I was waiting for the interview in the lobby, and I was on my phone looking up PHP nuanced stuff, JavaScript nuanced things, so I knew my stuff. And went into the interview, and the team lead was there. We had some technical talks, and I was glad that I studied, and I had some legit projects on my portfolio, and then I got the job. And so all that to say, that was probably 2 years of learning while working. And I would have to go back, I think probably 6 to 8 months of no other income besides little freelance projects and full-time learning. And being on Twitter at the time, connecting with people. I didn't know much about LinkedIn. Knowing what I know now, LinkedIn's good, Twitter is good, because you connect with people on there. You reply to people who just are small, just like you, have a few 100 followers maybe. You reply to posts. Same on LinkedIn. Just document on both of these when you're posting. Just document what you're learning, and that, just treat it like a journal. And I got some good contacts through Twitter. I wish I would have done LinkedIn, knowing what I know now. But the recruiter, that's something I didn't know about. I don't know if it's still relevant. I'll have to do some research, but get in with a recruiting firm, and they're shopping for jobs now. And so that's how I got my first job. It was terrifying. Looking back now, it's like a cool story, because I dropped out of college. I essentially got fired from my job. I would consider I got fired from flipping burgers to then overnight, or I guess over 6 to 8 weeks, because I didn't have a salary, essentially quadrupling my income over 6 months, because I decided I'm not going to get disrespected and shadow fired without them actually firing me. And so I quit, and I went from making tens of thousands of dollars a day to a lot more than that. And then it kept compounding. I'm probably close to about 10 times, making 10 times more money than I was before my first tech job, at least. And I somehow survived off of that, and I'm surviving now. But you can do it. There's times, looking back now, it's hard to remember, but there were times that were absolutely miserable. There were times where I felt like a failure. I felt really stupid. And I felt like I was reaching too far. I dropped out of college twice. I didn't make many good grades. I think the only A I got in high school was from sports. Everything else was C's and D's, maybe 1B. But it's crazy what just a lot of hard work will do, and being pushed to your limit, having your back against the wall. Thinking about the next phase of my life, which is entrepreneurship. I'm in the same situation, except I could just sit at this type of job for the next 20 years and retire fat and happy, and not always wondered, what if? And so now it's time to say, what if I do this, not what if I did do this. So it's part of this YouTube channel to log what I'm doing now, and log what I'm going to be doing in the future. And I'm super excited. I wish I had someone like this to follow when I was looking for my first job, because it would have been a lot more encouraging. Do hard things. I worked outside all day today, I have more work to do. I'm going to do it from inside, but I told myself I would do 9 to 4. It's 92 degrees right now, according to my laptop. Let's see what my phone says. My phone's about to die because it won't charge because it's too hot. Let's see. 92 degrees. Still in an extreme heat warning. I don't feel overheated. Moving into here was good. I'm excited for the air conditioning. It's probably going to be too cold. But I have Ultimate Frisbee tonight. I'm going to go do that. I have Ultimate Frisbee, so I need to go hydrate. I need to rest. I need to shower because I'm dirty. I probably won't get to the rest of the garage today, but that's okay. All right. Thanks for watching, guys.